Translate to number 8. One of the disadvantages about living by the sea is that it's very difficult to grow a nice garden. Most flowering plants can't tolerate the harsh conditions. The soil doesn't have a lot of nutrients and the wind contains a lot of salt which attacks the leaves. This is a kind of unusual example, but I threw it in just to demonstrate to you that with the ability to control our verbs and to find vocabulary, we can say or talk about a really wide variety of different things. So let's start off with the first line here, and the word I want to concentrate on first is this disadvantages. We're going to go right back and just start with the word for advantage, which is ventaja. So we have ventaja. This is advantage. Now, a disadvantage is desventaja. So just as English, we have advantage and disadvantage. So in Spanish, you have ventaja and desventaja, disadvantage. And this is plural, so it would be desventajas for disadvantages. Now, this is going to affect the rest of it. This is why we needed to concentrate on this word first. So we have una for one, not uno, because we're referring to a feminine word. So una de las desventajas. One of the disadvantages. You can see everything matching una because we're talking about a feminine word here, desventaja, and las again because it's feminine here, also in plural. So you can see how even though this word is further down in the sentence, it affects so much other things, a lot more other things about the sentence. So it's important to really get in your head when you're speaking Spanish kind of the order right. If you're talking about a specific thing, you need to know in advance if that's masculine, feminine, single or plural, because that will then decide other things about the sentence. Now we have about living by the sea. So this would be sobre or de if you prefer. Remember, now we can use both. Living by the sea, they would just say to live by the sea, vivir. This is the verb that we had in the last one, remember, to live, vivir. Now, by the sea, you can say enfrente, in front of the sea, for example. Enfrente del mar. Again, look what's happening here. We have el mar, but because we have this de plus el, to make it easier to pronounce, they do this contraction, del mar. And also, another thing you'll hear would be sobrevivir en el mar, literally in the sea. They say it that way. Una de las desventajas sobrevivir en el mar, literally of living in the sea, to live in the sea, right? It sounds funny in English, but they do use that. Let's just put enfrente, because in front of the sea is something that sounds more natural to us in English. Is that would be es que. It's very difficult. Es muy difícil. To grow. Now here we had, remember before, the verb crecer when referring to growing. But because we're specifically referring to plants, what they would say is cultivate, cultivar. Es muy difícil cultivar, to cultivate a nice garden. A garden in Spanish is un jardín, with an accent over the I here, un jardín, and then you can choose what word you would like for nice. We can just go with, say, bonito. Cultivar un jardín bonito, ending in o because un jardín is a masculine word. Now we have most flowering plants. The way you say most is la mayoría, with an accent here, like that. So most or the majority, they use this for both those words. La mayoría can mean most or the majority. La mayoría. Flowering plants, they would say plantas con flores, Flores is flowers. La mayoría of the plants de las plantas con flores can't tolerate. They can't would be no pueden. And then tolerate is very close, tolerar. Just like that, tolerar. The harsh conditions, we would put las condiciones with an accent over the O here. Las condiciones. The condition would be la condición. But the conditions, it's ION, so a feminine word, would be las condiciones. And then for harsh, they would put like duras. No pueden tolerar las condiciones duras. For the soil, what they say is earth, tierra, la tierra, like that, doesn't have, no tiene, a lot of nutrients. Now, the word for nutrients is very close, is nutrientes. See how there I just had to put in an E basically and change the pronunciation. So we have nutrientes. No tiene, we just say a lot of would be muchos. Muchos nutrientes. And the wind would be y el viento. Y el viento. Viento is wind, el viento. Now we have a verb, to contain, and that would be contener. What's interesting here is that you can see tener inside of this, and this affects the conjugation because it contains, instead of being contiene, it's the same here, but it gets broken up, contiene, because we're having tener inside here, so it's being conjugated in the same way. Contiene, it contains a lot of salt. So salt is sal, and it's a feminine word, so it would be mucha sal, a lot of salt. Which, the word here we just use que, can be used for which or what. Now, the verb to attack is very close. It's atacar, like that, and it's normally followed with an a. It's one of those verbs where they tend to follow it, they throw in an a afterwards. So for it, attacks would be ataca a. The wind, el viento contiene mucha sal que ataca. And then a is the, next we have leaves, would be las hojas with a silent H, like that. Que ataca a las hojas. So let's review this final sentence. We have the soil, the earth, right? La tierra doesn't have, no tiene, a lot of nutrients. A lot of, they contain all in this, muchos, no tiene muchos nutrientes. And the wind contains, y el viento contiene, a lot of salt, mucha sal. See, in one we have mucho, and the other mucha, because this is a feminine word and the other one is a masculine word. Again, Spanish wanting to agree with everything. So we have y el viento contiene mucha sal, which attacks, que ataca. So we had the verb atacar, and it attacks would be ataca, followed by a. Ataca a las hojas. So hoja would be leaf, la hoja, but plural, las hojas.